The Polish government has issued a unified and forceful rebuke of President Donald Trump's characterization of a significant Russian drone incursion, firmly rejecting the suggestion that the violation of its sovereign airspace was potentially accidental. In a series of coordinated statements from the highest level of government, Polish leaders asserted that the incident was a premeditated and calculated act of aggression by Moscow, designed explicitly to probe NATO's resolve and test the alliance's defensive response times along its eastern flank. Prime Minister Donald Tusk, addressing the nation from the National Security Council headquarters, stated that the evidence gathered by military and intelligence officials left no room for doubt regarding Russians' intent. He emphasized that the pattern of flight, the type of drone used, and the specific path taken indicate a deliberate mission to gather intelligence on critical infrastructure and gauge reaction procedures. This firm position from Warsaw placed it in direct diplomatic opposition to the White House, highlighting a significant and potentially destabilizing rift within the NATO alliance at a moment of extreme tension. Details emerging from the Polish Ministry of Defense paint a picture of a severe and coordinated aerial assault. Radar tracking confirmed that a swarm of at least 17 unmanned aerial vehicles crossed into Polish airspace from the direction of Belarus, penetrating several dozen kilometers inland before being engaged by Polish air defense systems. The drones were identified as models consistent with those used by Russian forces in Ukraine, specifically the Iranian-designed Shahed-136 loitering munition, known for its long range and payload capacity. Polish ground forces, on high alert, recovered wreckage from all 17 drones in rural areas near the border. Preliminary analysis of the debris by military experts indicates that the aircraft were on an intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance mission rather than an armed strike, though officials warned that the payload compartment could just have easily been filled with explosive. The incident represents the largest and deepest penetration of Polish territory by Russian forces since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began. The immediate military response triggered the most significant NATO activation since the start of the conflict. For the first time, NATO Quick Reaction Alert fighter jets, likely including Polish MiG-29s and allied aircraft stationed in the region, were scrambled to intercept the violating aircraft. While the drones were ultimately downed by ground-based air defense, the launch of fighter jets sent a powerful symbolic message of collective defense under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty, which allows for consultations among allies when a member's territorial integrity is threatened. The North Atlantic Council convened an emergency session in Brussels at Poland's request to discuss the incident and coordinate a response. This military reaction underscored the high alert status of the alliance and the real-time threat of the Ukraine conflict spilling over into a direct NATO-Russia confrontation. The scrambling of jets is a clear signal to Moscow that the alliance will not tolerate violations of its airspace, even as political interpretations of the event differ among member states. The political fallout has been immediate and intense, centered on the divergent responses from Warsaw and Washington. President Trump's public comments suggesting the incursion could have been a mistake were met with visible frustration and firm contradiction by the Polish leadership. Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski stated that such an explanation was wishful thinking at best and dangerously naive at worst, adding that it was imperative for the alliance to call out Russian aggression for what it is. Deputy Defense Minister Sergei Tomzik was more blunt, calling the event a deliberate act of war and a test of the new U.S. administration's resolve. This public disagreement reveals a fundamental strategic divide. The Trump administration, prioritizing a de-escalation of direct conflict with Russia and a swift end to the Ukraine war, appears inclined to provide off-ramp and avoid action that could be seen as overtly provocative. Poland, along with the Baltic state, feels existentially threatened and believes that only demonstrations of unwavering strength and clarity can deter further Russian aggression. This clash of philosophy is creating the most serious strain in transatlantic relations in recent memory. In response to the incident, Poland has taken its case to the international community, formally requesting an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. Ambassador Krzysztof Tusk is expected to present radar data, photographic evidence of the drone wreckage, and intelligence assessment to prove the deliberate nature of the attack. The move is aimed at diplomatically isolating Russia and forcing a global conversation on its reckless behavior. However, with Russia holding a veto power on the Council, no substantive resolution is expected to pass. The real goal for Poland is to sway global public opinion and consolidate support among non-permanent members of the Council. Concurrently, Poland has announced an immediate acceleration of its own military modernization plans, including the fast-tracking of additional air defense battery purchase and the permanent reinforcement of troops along its eastern border. The event has solidified Warsaw's conviction that it must serve as the front line of European defense, preparing for a prolonged period of heightened threat from its eastern neighbor, regardless of the political winds in other Western capitals. The broader implications of this event extend far beyond a single drone incursion. Security analysts are interpreting it as a likely part of a broader Russian strategy of hybrid warfare aimed at sowing discord within NATO. By testing boundaries, Moscow can identify cracks in the alliance unity, potentially exploiting differences between the more hawkish Eastern members and those in Western Europe and the US who may favor a less confrontational approach. The successful provocation of a public disagreement between Poland and the United States, the alliance leader, represents a significant propaganda victory for the Kremlin. It demonstrates that even under a new administration perceived as more favorable to Moscow, the fundamental tensions of the conflict continues to pose an extreme risk of unattended escalation. The incident served as a stark reminder that the war in Ukraine remains a direct and active threat to European and global security, with the potential to ignite a broader conflict through miscalculation or deliberate act of provocation. That's all for me for today. If you like the video presentation and you would like to follow for more, hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build the show for you. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye for now.